Hi, in this lesson what we're going to do is have a look at how to silicone like a professional with no mess and very easy to follow along with. So tools we need is silicone gun. We need a silicone profile tool. Now there's loads of different ones on the market, and this one here is by a company called Kramer, and it just looks like a square, and it's got rounded off edges with angles cut off. You get about 3 of these in a pack. So they're about 12-13 pounds, and I suggest that you get like this particular one or something very similar to that. Don't get the cheap ones that are like £2-3 pounds, because they tend to be just plastic, where the better quality ones for about 12-13 pounds are a soft silicone rubber, and it helps squeegee off and give a much better finish. So you get 2 or 3 of these in the pack for that. The other thing you get is sort of something like this. That's an alternative, but there's many different kind of profile tools. So whichever one you use, they're all going to work. We need a set of pump grips for later on, which will become apparent. And what I've done here is I've cut this particular one in half. Again, this is going to be apparent later on when you see why I've done that, but it comes as a square, so just cut it straight down the middle so you've got 2 halves of that square. We need some washing up liquid, and we need an atomizer spray, and all I've done is just put a small amount of water in there and just like just a little squirt of washing up liquid in there, so it's just a soapy water solution. Stanley knife and some kitchen roll. So that's really the kit that you need to do silicone. So the first thing you need to do is, when you get your silicone gun, you take off the end and you cut off the end of that, which obviously releases the silicone. So then we're going to put this nozzle on the end there like that, and what we need to do, I don't know if the camera can see that, but we need to cut off with a Stanley knife a 45-degree angle, and the gap I've got left there is about 5mm diameter, so not that big, but just cut it off 45 degrees. So what we're going to do now is put this in the silicone gun. So if you load it in like that, and then you press this trigger, you can see that this plunger goes forward every time you squeeze that. So what happens is that plunger is going to force the bung to force that silicone out of that. So when you press this, you will see it like sort of coming out of the end there like that. And what this is a release of that trigger, because there's a spring in here, and if you don't press that to release that trigger there, that'll keep pumping out. And what a lot of people do is make the mistake of like doing some silicone, and then they leave the silicone gun on the bench like that, and as they're profiling it off, they don't realize that this is still pumping out, and it leaves like a sort of a massive silicone on the bench, which is hard. So every time you finish doing a little bit of silicone, just press that trigger, and then that cuts it dead. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have a closer look at this bench here, and I'm going to show you how to actually perfect this silicone dead easily. Right, so what we're going to do now is have a look at this, a utility bench, and we're going to like sort of silicone between this bench here and this bench. But this could be anywhere. It could be tiles on here on a normal kitchen bench. This is obviously the sink, and it could be an internal corner that we're siliconing in after we've left the movement joints in there. It could be a bathroom, and I'll look at it like a sort of a wash basin later as a curve. But this one we're just going to do a straight run across here. And if we can do a little bit like this, if you can master this little section here, well, everything else is exactly the same. Now with silicone, what you don't want to do is put too much on at once. And what I mean by that is, if this kitchen was, say, 10 meters all the way around, don't silicone all 10 meters up at the same time. What you want to do is just work to about 1 meter at a time, so maybe 3-4 feet. So from this corner here to maybe there, I would silicone that point, and then I would like do what I'm going to do now and finish it off, and then do the next meter, and then finish that off and do the next meter. Otherwise, if you don't do that and you go all the way around, after a couple of minutes the silicone is going to skin over, and when you try and profile it, it drags it a bit. So anyway, let's get straight into it. So the angle that I've cut off, that is going to be pointing into the wall. So what I'm going to do here, I'm quite good at putting silicone in, so I'm going to do the first half like I would do it, which is quite neat, and then the second half I'm going to do it pretty rubbish and ropey, And that's just to show you that, like, if you're just starting off, you'll probably be ending up like sort of like a bit of a mess like this. But it's going to make no difference at all, because when we profile it, they're both going to end up exactly the same, which is perfect. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to press on the trigger, and you're going to bring that bead back, and that is going to give you a constant neat bead like that. Now if you're just starting off, you're going to end up maybe a little bit of a mess like this. And I'm just putting this in real rubbish so you can see that how messy that is. Let's fill that gap up. Right, so you can see this is like a mess, too much in. This is not bad, it's neat, but it needs to be like sort of tidied up. Now what a lot of people do is they spit on the finger like this, and then they start bringing it back, and you can see straight away that just makes an absolute mess. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get the spray, and we're going to spray all this down. And the reason why we're spraying it with soapy water is because silicone won't stick to anywhere where there's like sort of the water. So what we're going to do is we'll profile this perfectly, and it will be literally looking amazing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get this profile tool, and there's different angles on this tool. So this one might be a 7mm angle, this one might be a 5mm angle, the other one might be a 3mm angle. So depending on how thick a bead you want, it's whatever you use. So I'm going to do this one about the 5mm. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray this up, and you can go and practice this yourself. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this hard up against there like that, 90 degrees. Don't twist it. So it's hard against the wall that way, and press down. So it's like push it right into the corner that way. And all I'm going to do here is just draw this back. In fact, I'm going to put the camera a bit closer so you can see this happening. Right, so we've got a closer shot of this. So all I'm going to do here is put that there, and I'm going to draw that back square across there like that. So you can see now that is taken off everything that was a mess before. So again, that is like sort of the bead. That is literally about 5mm. If I want to take it down a bit further, I can take it into the smaller bead, which is this one. So this is about 3mm. So again, I'm going to squirt this down, try and do this again. So tight into the corner, just draw that back across there like that. So again, that's taking off that excess there. And again, if you can see like the finish on that bead there, there's nothing on the top, there's nothing on the bottom. It is just perfect and no mess. There's nothing on that tool of excess silicone. There's nothing on my fingers. There's no mess there. So again, this is very easy. Internal corners would be exactly the same. So again, the process again is you'd have to dry off, so that silicone only works on a dry surface. So just make sure that surface is bone dry. So once you've done that, you squirt your silicone in, then you squirt it down, then you squirt your tool down, and then you just draw that back tight into the corner, press hard and draw it back until that like sort of gives you that perfect finish on there. So every way you have to do on a straight line, it's pretty straightforward. Now the reason why I sort of cut the thing in half here was, if that was the actual size of that profile tool like that, when I come to go behind a kitchen sink like this, you can see that the size of that tool there, it just wouldn't get past there like that. So what I've done is like sort of by cutting it in half like that, you still get the profile, but you can see how now that can easily go behind that basin or sink or whatever, taps, whatever it is. So that's the only reason why I've cut it in half. You could use that one as well, which obviously is a lot easier to get through, but they'll all do the same thing. So hopefully that's like showing you how to do like a sort of a 90-degree square edge with the silicone, just with a profile tool, soapy water. That's the finish you're going to get. Let's have a look now at a wash basin, which is a little bit more of a curvature to it. Okay, now we're going to look at something a little bit more difficult because it's got this tap here. Now again, like I said before, that when it was big, it was never going to get past there. So again, by cutting in half, it will fit between that tap and that wall now. But even with that silicone thing being fitting in there, I still can't get my fingers past there. So when I come to draw it across there, I'm stuck. So what I tend to do now is use these grips. And the good thing about these grips is if I put that on there like that, it's like an extension of that. So what it means I can do now is once I profile it in and I put the silicone in that way and I put the silicone in that way, which I'll do in a second, it means I can put that and stretch that right far that way, and I can profile that behind that tap there, and I can come back from this side if I want and profile it from that one there. So again, it's just an extension of your hand really. So we'll do this now. So what I'm going to do is try to do from this angle. So I'm going to put this silicone in. So it's as far as I can stretch. I'm gunning that into there. And we're going to come around the side here and down there. Like that. Now what you've got to be careful here is that there's no gaps. So when you're looking down here, make sure that joint is fully filled and there's no little gaps that you can see, which I can see here, but you probably can't there, because the water is going to run down the back of that. So all you need to do now is just fill it up, just to make sure that them gaps are filled. Like that. Right, so again, what we're going to do now is come in from this side and then put that silicone in there like that. Remember, press the trigger. So what we're going to do now is we're going to squirt it down. Like that. So again, we're going to squirt the tool down. Again, which is this. So like I said before, well this time we're going to put that into that grip there like that. And it means what we can do now is we can start from back here, press hard, and then draw that back to there. So again, I just wipe that clean. You can see that's totally clean there. Squirt this down again. So again, I'll start again from here. Bring that back to there. Get rid of that. And now I can take that out. And then back onto it with my hand. So that finishes that one. And then I can come around here. Turn this corner. Take that off there. So that is totally clean. Fingers totally clean. Everything is like sort of perfect there. You can finish it off with your finger if you want to. So if you want to finish off with your finger, squirt it down again. And this time it's with your finger, the lightest of touches. I mean, just you don't want to take anything off here. So just light as you can, just skim your finger over the top there, like that. And that is going to give you absolute perfection on silicone. I'll try and get the water off so you can see. So hopefully the camera's picking up. It's obviously white tiles, white basin and white silicone, but that is like perfect finish all the way around there with absolutely no mess on the tools, no mess on the basin, and everything is just like sort of finished. So a little bit of practice. So why don't you try and like sort of take the silicone out of your bath or your shower and then get a silicone gun, get one of these tools there and just practice and re-silicone your shower. And if you do that technique with that soapy water, you will master that technique probably first time. So good luck with that one. I'll see you on the next lesson.